welcome back to another week of Heritage Kids. And welcome back to my kitchen where we're doing even more Christmas baking this week. But this week, we're not making cookies. We're making a special kind of announcement cupcakes. Have you ever been around someone announcing some big news? Maybe that they're having a baby, or they're getting married, or it could be anything. They're having a birthday. Well, today we're gonna make some announcement cupcakes, but they're a special kind of cupcake. They're actually made out of cookie dough. So, kind of like last time, we're gonna take our ball of dough and we're gonna squish it around and we're gonna push it into our cupcake tin. Now, it's after we bake these that we're gonna make some frosting, and then this is where you make your announcement. So we're going to use some blue dye, blue food coloring, and we're going to make the frosting blue. What do you think we're announcing with our blue frosting in our cookie cupcakes? I wonder if we're announcing something that has to do with Jesus. And the fact that our story point for this week tells us that Jesus came to bring us life. Stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Now, during the last couple of weeks while we've been baking, we've had the same big picture question and answer. Say this along with me. Why was Jesus born? Jesus was born to rescue us from sin. And the greatest thing that God ever did was send his only son, Jesus, to save us from sin. So even up to just a couple of weeks ago, we were studying about the time after Jesus returned to heaven and sent the Holy Spirit. So let's look back at how and why Jesus came to earth. You may expect us to read from Luke 2 and talk about the shepherds who came to see baby Jesus in the manger. But not today. Instead, we're going to work through John 1. You may not think of John 1 as a passage that has to do with Christmas, but it tells us more about who Jesus is and that Jesus was not just a baby born in Bethlehem. He is God the Son. So let's hear all about it. Today's Bible story is called Jesus Was Born, and we are in the book of John. Check out this week's video.
John, one of Jesus' disciples, wrote to tell people about who Jesus is. John wrote that the word Jesus existed in the beginning before the world even began. The Word has always existed with God, and the Word has always existed as God. He was with God in the beginning. When God spoke at creation, all things were created through His Word. Not one thing was created apart from Him. The Word brought life into the world and light for all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness could not hide it. God sent a man named John the Baptist to be a witness to the light. John was not the light, but he came to tell people about the light so they might believe. The true light was coming into the world to give light to everyone. When Jesus came into the world, people did not recognize him. His own people did not accept him, but this is good news. To everyone who did accept him, he gave them the right to be a part of God's family, to be children of God. The Word became a human and lived among us. People saw his glory, the glory of the one and only Son of God. He was full of grace and truth. John the Baptist told people that even though Jesus came into the world after him, Jesus is greater because he existed before John. People received blessings from Jesus, grace upon grace. Long ago, God gave people the law through Moses. But now, he has given us grace and truth through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but Jesus, God's one and only Son, has shown us what God is like. The birth of Jesus was good news. Jesus was no ordinary baby. He was God's son, sent to earth from heaven. Jesus came into the world as a human to bring us life. He brought light into darkness and showed us what God is like.
Isaiah lived hundreds of years before Jesus was born. He was a prophet of God, which means God spoke to Isaiah, and Isaiah told the people what God said. Isaiah wrote down prophecies about the promised Messiah. A prophecy is a message from God about something that will happen in the future. Prophecies in the Bible always come true. And Isaiah wrote that the promised Messiah would be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. These are all ways to describe Jesus. And that brings us to this week's Christ Connection. The birth of Jesus was good news. Jesus was not an ordinary baby. He was God's son, sent to earth from heaven. And Jesus came into the world as a human to bring us life. He brought light into darkness and showed us what God is like. And that brings us to this week's Questions from Kids video. Think about Jesus' birth, and then discuss with those around you how your family celebrates Jesus becoming human. Check out this week's video.
Hi there, I'm Pastor Brian, and it's time for Questions from Kids. Kayla from Lake Bluff, Illinois asks,
Was Jesus born on December 25th?
That is a great question, Kayla. Was Jesus born on December 25th? You know, in today's session, of course, we're celebrating the birth of Jesus, that he came to earth, became a person so that he could bring us life. And we traditionally celebrate this on December 25th, of course, but we aren't sure of the exact day when Jesus was born. We just don't have those records. So it may have been December 25th, or it may have been a different date. Some people believe he may have actually been born in the spring. But here's what is really important for us to understand. It's interesting to think about when Jesus was actually born, but that's not what we're celebrating, is it? We're celebrating why that he was born. And we can celebrate this, and we should celebrate this at all times. Think about it. Whether he was born on December 25th or April 6th, it really doesn't matter, because the same truth is what we celebrate, that the Son of God came to earth, became a person, was born, and then he lived, he died, and he raised again from the dead. Why? So that he could provide us with forgiveness of sin and bring us into a relationship with God. That truth is too big, it's too beautiful to confine to one day, whether that's December 25th or again some other day. We want to celebrate that every day of the year, every minute of every day of the year, because it is so beautiful and so important. So I hope that helps you give some understanding about not really focused on December 25th, but the birth and the meaning of Jesus coming to earth. So here's a question back for you. What does your family do to celebrate Jesus' birth?
Friends, I'm so glad you joined us for another week of baking. We'll see you back here next week. I'm going to keep working on these announcement cupcakes. Have a great week, everybody.